when you're doing the work of marketing, the work of getting people to take a certain action to bring about a change into the group that you seek to change, the fundamental question that all decisions should stem from is the question, who is it for? When you're able to identify who it's for, that becomes the basis from which you make all other decisions. It's how you design the product or service, is how you create the messaging around that product or service. And these past couple of weeks, I've been working on implementing the Blue Ocean strategy. And you might be familiar with it. It's a book by W. Chan Kim and Renee Moborn. And the idea is to escape red oceans, competitive areas where people are fighting for the same share of the market, so that you can break out into blue oceans where there is no competition, and you can start to expand the market itself and claim uncontested market space. And as I begin to apply Blue Ocean strategy to dentistry, I'm beginning to realize that the authors who wrote Blue Ocean strategy did it with large corporations in mind. These corporations, what they do is they have the infrastructure to market to everyone. So their answer to the question, who is it for, is everyone. But when we look at private practice dentistry, the individual practices, when we ask them who is it for, the answer should almost never be everyone. Because the larger corporations, the DSOs, the Amazons, the big companies who can do mass marketing can create stuff for everybody and use the frameworks in Blue Ocean strategy in order to create differentiated products and services and market them to the masses. But when it comes to individual private practices, or maybe smaller group private practices, if we start with everyone as the answer to who is it for, then what we end up doing is we create services that are very more or less generic, very commoditized. And when we create commoditized services, when things look the same, we go with the one that is easier or cheaper to get. And so if we approach dentistry in that way, if we play the game of dentistry that way, then we're always going to lose to larger DSOs who are also playing that way because they're also marketing to everybody. They're able to create more generic services, but they're able to they have better convenience, they have better prices. And we're going to struggle to beat them. If we try to make everything more convenient, if you start adding more hours, if you start working on the weekends, if you start bringing on, more associates, that's just going to increase the costs and the burden on you. And if you try to decrease the prices, then that's a race to the bottom. And of course, in a way that is raising costs as well, because the amount of revenue that comes in is less. So the cost that you already have comparatively becomes more. So we can't take that approach. The approach of Blue Ocean strategy, if you look at it, it has things like take inventory of all the different products and services that you offer. This is for enterprise level organizations. But there are frameworks in there that are very valuable. The frameworks of understanding what your competitors, the alternatives in the industry, what their strategy canvas is, understanding what factors of competition everyone is obsessed with at the moment is very valuable. Understanding what pain points are still in the industry, regardless of the people's focus on, or the dentist's focus on these factors, understanding that lets you understand where can we remove those blocks to value that people want. And the 6 paths of innovation in the Blue Ocean strategy is also a very valuable way of looking at and brainstorming different ways to provide more value and remove those blocks of value. So I say all that to say that we have to start with who is it for as the basis. And as individual private practice owners or smaller group private practice owners, the answer to who is it for is crucial because we can't play the game of everyone. We can't have everyone be the answer to who is it for. And so once we do that and then apply the framework of Blue Ocean strategy, then everything changes. Because when we start with that smaller group of people who have similar wants, similar desires, then we're able to create something for that. And if we look at Blue Ocean strategy, what we find is a lot of obsession on optimizing costs, on lowering your prices, adjusting your prices to meet the market and the alternatives and the substitutes that are available to the people. This is an approach that is perfect if you're a large DSO, if you're looking to get hundreds of thousands of patients. But that's not necessary for smaller organizations or single practices. What would be more beneficial for you would be to get more patients, maybe fewer than if you were able to go for that scale that Blue Ocean strategy is advocating for, but be able to charge more, be able to create a narrative around what they want and have your price reflect that narrative, rather than doing the work of figuring out what all the alternatives and substitutes are and pricing based on that. What I'm trying to say is, when we're looking at smaller organizations, probably you, the game is less about scale, because you don't need scale. You can get by with much less than large DSOs need. So the games and the strategies and the frameworks that they use is going to be a bad fit. It won't translate well to smaller organizations. For smaller organizations, you have to start with the question of who is it for and figure that out first. What is the group of people that you seek to serve and what do they want? And you have to do the work of obsessing over them and creating a strategy that will fulfill their desires. And that's going to look very different than what large DSOs do, because they're going for everyone. And everyone means that you have to be very generic. But what we see right now is a lot of private practices, a lot of smaller group practices, they try to follow the large DSO model. And so there's a lot of struggle. There's a lot of competition in the red ocean. Everyone looks the same, but DSOs happen to take more insurance. They happen to be cheaper and they happen to be more convenient. So that's why it's so hard. So who is it for? And then use the Blue Ocean strategy to innovate towards what they're looking for. And I think you'll find a lot of success. All right. I'm a third of the way done with the course, with the rough draft. After we finish wrapping up all the concepts, we're going to have to start filming and shooting. So I think we're still a couple of weeks before the course launches, but I'll keep you guys updated. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching this video, and see you guys in the next one.